You really? Yeah.
So,
Man,
yeah, I was like, yeah, I woke up and I was
did you?
like, you know what? I'm going live with Todd. We're just gonna juice
Yeah.
today.
Man, so I made some last night, and but I put like see, it has broccoli, zucchini, celery, cucumber, strawberries for a little flavor, cilantro, parsley, carrots,
Mm-hmm.
apples, and so then I had. I'm gonna go to the store today and get some more stuff, and then I had so I had some. What did I have? Oh, I had a tub of spinach, because every now
Oh,
and then
nice.
I'll make like I'll make some sautéed spinach or kale. So I thought, F it, I'm just gonna clear out the fridge, and so I made the spinach with red seedless grapes and two apples. Oh my God, that was so good! Spinach with apple and grapes. It was like 70% spinach. Oh my God, that was good. It was so good. I thought, wow, I discovered something. What's happening, everybody? What do we got? A minute and 15 seconds into this, 14 people. So let's give it another 45 seconds.
I thought when you pressed grapes, you got wine.
I wish. I can't even think. I know, I can't even believe that I'm not. I just don't have any desire whatsoever. But I think it's all happening naturally. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
The body's just like talk about instant manifestation. It's like I took 3 sips of coffee, and I love coffee, but I can't drink it. It's done. Over. Stick a fork in its ass. Today, well, so it's so cool because Ryan was on last night, and where Ryan sits in my heart. I mean, it's I don't even know how to explain it. I look at Ryan and I always see this. I guess it's a past life, but he has like this. I don't know what it is. It's because a lot of the, and I don't know. I'm not one of those that clings to a past life, but I don't know if they're like memories from maybe I was a cell in the body, or you know what I mean. I mean, I don't know if I'm and it doesn't matter to me. But when I look at him, because a lot of my memories, like early on, I think I was shown 9 past lives, like real early on, and 8 of them. Well, they were all spiritual type journeys, right? Like monks and what do you call them? Samurais and Indian guy and Brazilian and I always see Ryan like in this smock with this funky hat on. It's got like this border. I don't know what they call them, and they're round on the top and they're like this. Yeah, he's the same no matter what dimension or timeline. But yeah, so then you're on Hero's Journey.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw you publicly was, I mean, I knew you, but I mean, I saw you on Melissa Dehan. Well, it was on this network, and yeah, I was like, wow, yeah, I get that. So yeah, I think we have a lot of similarities in that regard. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. So welcome. They call me Helmet Head. One thing about Ryan, if you hang around Ryan, you'll never have to worry about not laughing.
I know that.
I know, right? He's just a trip, man. God, we've had some good times, right? So, yeah, what's happening on August the 23rd, 2021? Where are you at on your hero's journey? Where did you come from? Will you talk about whatever you want to? This is your platform. I'm going to have some tea.
Well, first I want to start off by telling you that 2 nights ago, you were with me. You pulled me up out of my sleep state to float around in the astrals, and you were with me the whole night. You were showing me, we were like standing on the top of a tower. Wow. And you were showing me how to dive off the tower to break through timelines. You were just like dumping code into my head. We were with each other the whole night, just talking, just chatting, you and I. And I woke up and told Ryan, and I was like, I can't wait to tell Todd. I was going to message you. I was like, no, I'm going to tell him on the show, because you were with me the whole night. And I even got up to pee in the middle of the night. And when I got up, the whole room was like plasma. Like it was like sparkly plasma. And I felt like I was in some sort of dream state. And I got chills just now, my whole body. And I went back to bed and I was able to go right back into our, like, yeah. So you were with me, just chatting to me. You were showing me all sorts of things. Like I remember us just being really up high, looking down on things. And you point to me and just filling my head with all sorts of knowledge. It was wild.
That's crazy. And then to be able to go right back into it. See, I have this thing, I have this ongoing thing where I tell them, why can't I remember more? Because I feel it. And it's just been 10 years of different slight memories, galactic wars to just everything, Camelot or Avalon, whatever you call it. I mean, just all these different things, Inner Earth. And it was yesterday or the day before. It was yesterday. I got knocked out twice. And the second time, I started sending this message to Morgan while I'm in bed, sitting up. But I'm really asleep, but I'm awake. I didn't actually know. So I ended up doing a show or two, and then we got on the camera together. And she's like, "Let me read this to you." And I'm like, "Whoa, yeah." And then it all came back, and it was like they were telling me. One of the things they said was, we couldn't tell you because you wouldn't have made it. In other words, if the code had been turned on, you would have been too what's the word? Almost like in the dance of dark and light. That you're being targeted, and it just wasn't the right time, something like that. So yeah. And then a lot of people over the years will talk about things like you just did, and I don't remember a lot of them unless it's with Morgan. I have a lot of dreams and Morgan will be with me, but yeah, I think it's the timelines bleeding over as they converge, because that's one of the things I got yesterday too, was they were telling me, the words were, there's about 1,000 timelines. Now, I don't want to say left to converge, but that's what it felt like. And that what I was getting in bed, which had to do with, I'm not going to get into it all, but it had to do like mission oriented. Like I had some lucid dreams over the years that were timelines that were collapsing. And in those lucid dreams, it was like a period like now, where there were individuals, including myself, that were demonstrating what we would call supernatural powers. Like they had put me in prison. I teleported, and disappeared. So they put me in another one, and I was in this, and they put me in this field with this big fence, like a 10-foot fence with razor wire. And I'm sitting on this bench in the middle of this, whatever it is, I guess, where they let me just go outside, and I disappeared again. And so I that was kind of the feel last night. It was like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. We're going to start exhibiting these things to counter the reality. And this is involving teleporting and it was also involving clear telepathic communication. There was no internet. There were no phones, so I don't know. I feel like that there's something to that, but I don't really understand it. Of course, I think I think we're getting there though. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with me. It feels good today. Yeah, it is. It sounds cool. I'm going to try to tap into that later today when I lay down. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it just was so relevant, just pertaining to Ryan and I, just because, we kind of have been, shifting onto this timeline together. And it just, since you're so connected with him, it was almost like you were like, taking me out for like a one-on-one bro. Like,
yeah, bro. Hey, it's like, Skylar, it's hibiscus. Nice. She asked what kind of tea was. See, and I don't even know what the hell that is, right? And I have a friend in California. She's connected like Ryan, and you, and she's been a part of the journey. She's a beautiful lady, Yvette Goulet. I always call her the Soulogy Hoochie Mama. she's amazing. And so anyway, she got woke up at 3:33 in the morning, like 3 or 4 days ago. We had done a show, and we've done a few in the past. And so she says the ancestors came in, And she was just like, and she sent me a voice recording.
Wow.
And she's doing all this wild, she does this wild, I don't know if you call it light language. It's like Jamaican, Hebrew. It's all this mixed together. And I mean, it's powerful. I remember the first time I heard it, I was in New York City and I woke up going, I need help, man. I'm broke. I mean, I had no money, living in the Bronx. I mean, I had, eating $2 pizzas and, and I just called her up. I said, I need help. And she goes, okay. And she went outside, man. She started doing, she just started rocking, man. And the next 2 or 3 days later, somebody sent me $1,000 out of nowhere. And I'd never gotten anything. I mean, I was like hurting bad. And, but yeah, anyway, she got this thing at 3:33 and she said, the ancestors are telling me, go get some hibiscus and hyssop tea because you're purging a lot. She saw me in the bathroom up to my shoulders in brown green gook. She said, Todd, it was nasty. And at the time I was like purging my ass off, literally. So she said, I saw you standing in this bathroom. I sent her a picture. And yeah, that's where I got that from. And yeah, so because I would have never gone and bought hibiscus. I have green tea and flavored tea, organic tea, that I put sparkling water in. That's another one of the new things that have come to me. So my fridge has fresh juice, 96 ounces for today. It's got organic tea, and it's got sparkling water and regular water. That's all I got. There ain't nothing else in it. Isn't it crazy? So we're changing, no doubt.
That gunk you were talking about, I've had the same experience in the shower before. I've been, just kind of going into a meditative state in the shower and then broke down into these sobs, but it was almost like this green and like black. It almost was like tar was coming out of me. And I just envisioned it filling up the whole bathroom and just leaving me.
That's crazy. That's what she said. She said it was a blackish green brown, and she said it was nasty. She said it was nasty. See, I made a deal.
Molasses.
Yeah, I made a deal a few months. Yeah, like molasses. I made a deal a few months ago because I was physically purging a lot, and I just said, "Can I do this another way?" And then I started having these dreams, lucid dreams where I'm purging in the human way. Right? Like I'd be in public and then all of a sudden, I look down and my socks turn brown. I'm like, oh my God, I just lost my bowels. And then, you're in the lucid dream and you think it's real. And I guess it is in one way or another, but yeah. So I would be like, oh my God, check yourself. But that's been nice doing it that way because it's not as severe on the body. Yeah. So, I don't remember all the details of your story because, I only really remember the energy of most of the time. That's like the predominant thing. But I know you, well, you know what? I take that back. When I first reached out to you was when you put that post up. And that post was just like fucking epic, man. I mean, I'm like, that's I Am Soul right there.
Yeah.
And you were just claiming your power. And in the body of your story, and I know there was some drinking, some sex, drugs, and rock and roll, probably some drugs. I don't remember, but I thought, well, hell, she's from the same twig on the branch of the limb of the flower of life family tree as me. So I can relate to that. I can relate to that a lot. But yeah, it's all yours. You tell us, get us started here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have that similarity. I was a bartender for 11 years. How you can get caught up in that industry very much, that you meet so many interesting characters. Yeah.
People walking in and hand you a straw with a little package. I never thought I'd be snorting cocaine in the bathroom. I wasn't ever a big cocaine person, but when you're a bartender, you get a lot of gifts.
A lot of gifts, a lot of appreciation.
Especially if you're a good-looking lady, not an old man like me.
Yeah, I mean, that was the life from 18 to when did I stop at? Yeah, like 29 or so. that was just what I did. But before that, I guess I'll kind of just take everyone through it. So I want to preface it by saying that when we're looking at like childhood trauma, a lot of people I think misunderstand the severity of it sometimes when they're looking at it from an adult lens at the child's like into the child's what happened to them. When we're looking at it from like a child vantage point, there's so many things that can be perceived as traumatic. Adult, you're like, it's not that traumatic, but to a kid, those things can be quite traumatic. So I just want to say that because I find there's out there, there's, you know, people that don't understand, especially in my family. You know, I've had to distance myself from my family in order to choose myself to heal. I think I told you that in the last interview, that I had to delete everybody off of my Facebook. And that's been coming up a lot in my field lately. Like I opened a door slightly and everybody kind of tried to rush back in, and I've had to put up boundaries again because it's just not, it harms me more than it helps me to have them around right now, especially with where I'm at. Because right now I'm just standing up out of the wreckage of, you know, casting my whole life into the ethers and, you know, looking at everything and deciding what was mine and what wasn't. And so I'm sort of rising right now, I would say. You know, so it's an interesting time to you know, talk with you because, you know, I'm just standing up. So I'm still like, you know, it's very much touch and go with me these days because I'm still just like working through a lot of that grief. And today even I woke up just purging so much, and I've been purging so much ancestral and collective grief. It's almost like I'm a lightning rod because I'm able to feel those things for the collective. I feel like I am very much purging a lot of just so many past lives in pain, so much feminine pain in relation to nature, in relation to men. And there's just been so much grief of that lately. You know, I've just been going through the motions, and I can tell when something isn't mine, like just an energy moving through me and it doesn't in me. So that's why it's, you know, the lightning rod is sort of an apt metaphor because it's almost like, okay, we know she's capable of feeling this deeply, so we're just going to send her the stuff so she can transmute it, you know?
That's a good description.
Yeah. I'm very connected in with grids and the earth. Like I'm very grounded in the just a lot of just grid templates and things like that. Like I can really dive in there, and so I'm learning to be a lot more discerning with my energy in terms of, you know, not taking on so much, you know, not making it mine, not like grabbing onto it and just letting it move through me. Because and that's important because it's been very difficult to you know, especially when you're dealing with your own stuff, just being like always like bombarded with all of this stuff and learning to stand up. I'm just in like a very vulnerable place right now. And so hopping on in this state, you know, I'm not my normal bubbly self. And it's kind of nice to just show up like this, you know, and
yeah, it is.
You know,
I've been telling people that for years. Not because I wanted to, but because it was happening to me. But no, you're right. It's that transparency that requires vulnerability, and that's the power. So it's crazy. It's upside down, but it's real. You're right. So I'm glad you came this way rather than your bubbly self. Not that I don't like your bubbly self.
Yeah. I you know, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. I'm so grateful to be able to just be myself. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You know, there's so much hiding in my life, so much lying, so much faking it, so much, you know, just all of that stuff. So it's just really lovely to be able to show up as, you know, this like I feel things and I fluctuate, and it's all gravy, baby.
Yeah, it's all gravy, baby. And you fluctuate. I fluctuate. It's like, no, I'm kidding. I thought that was a good spin on that word.
It's great.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. I mean, and it's crazy because I always make this joke like, oh, so what? The key to the code is we just got to act like ourselves. Like,
yeah.
Is
it really that easy?
You know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, that's really it. It's crazy. Can you imagine? Like, you're talking about your family, and mine's similar situation, you know. And you think, oh, well, I'm a light worker. I'm going to go back and break bread. And I did this year after year, you know, back in the early days of this awakening 10 years ago. And you think, oh, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a light worker. I'm light. So I need to go back in there and you end up going through the same motions, which is you fall on the sword. You say you're sorry. Not that you need to hear it, but there's just like nothing changes. It's like you're hitting your head against a brick wall, and then you have to make the decisions like you do. And that's how you learn. You give them an inch, and then they think it's a mile, and you're like, oh, no. Or this is baby steps. I'm just, what did you say? Just standing up like a foal coming out of his mother.
Exactly.
You know, still wet and trying to walk.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. Yes. So I guess, diving into my story a bit, you know, I incarnated in just highly dysfunctional templates on both sides, you know, just a lot of neglect, a lot of abuse, a lot of abandonment, just there's at no point in my life so far up until I started, you know, breaking these patterns and my awakening and all that. There's at no point was I ever in a place where I felt safe, you know, happy, or wasn't coping in some way or some 50 ways. You know, there was at one point I had about 15 different addictions. And I say addiction in that, I made a list. I made a list of the 15 things that I used to cope and distract. And there were 15 of them. Like that's so much energy dedicated to pushing everything down. Like, you know, and we wonder why there's so many people who are chronically fatigued. It's like, yes, we're pushing down so much stuff. You know, like I was so tired all the time, drinking 10 coffees a day and living off of cigarettes and drinking my face off and going home with anyone who had looked at me, you know, so it's been a very messy, bumpy, re-traumatizing over and over again time. But I really dove into it a few years ago when I think I told you, like, I was on the twin journey, and then I was, so that was my awakening. That was my catalyst. And then I was having a really hard time sort of letting go of my old life in Vancouver. Like, I had a successful career. I was a graphic designer. I had a freelance business on top of working a 9 to 5. So I was very busy all the time, coping, staying busy. I had a great friend group. I had a great apartment, all of these, you know, beautiful, magical things. And on my 30th birthday in Vancouver, I was heading to a yoga class to meet a friend. This is after my awakening a few years back. I was pretty much ignoring the fact that I had to go deep. This is 2019, and I'm riding my bike through this intersection, and a car turns right into me, and it stops about, I don't know, half a foot away from me, slams on the brakes. But I'm like, naturally, you just fly off the bike, you know, so I fly off the handlebars straight over, land on the pavement. And instead of like looking like, did I break my elbow? Is my bike okay? Am I going to get hit by a car? The only thing I heard was, this is God. Like, this is an intervention. This was like a wake up call of like, Kristie, get going. Because 3 months later, I left everything behind and went into the cave. Like, but that was the like shake up that I needed, you know, almost getting hit. Like, that was the only thing I thought was, this was divine intervention. Like, I needed to get going into the dark, you know? So I took it seriously. I don't I don't think there's accidents. And so I really believe that was like a very much a sign that was like, you need to change, you need to listen. Because I had been ignoring myself. All those whispers I was ignoring. I was like, no, I can still have my old life and have, no, I had to get rid of it all. But the human was just having a struggle with that. She was like, no, you know, that white knuckle grip on your old life. Just no.
Yeah. Comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
Comfort zone.
Super comfortable. So,
and there's always plenty of people to help you validate that. Oh, yeah, this is okay. You can do this. You know, I did the same thing. I get it. Totally.
Yeah. So yeah, I had already quit drinking and smoking at this point. I had already left my marriage. I had, you know, there was many things I had already left, but this was like the final kind of push that I needed. And yeah, so a few months after that, I got the download. And when I get these like intuitions, they feel like lightning striking my head, and it's just the answer. And so
really?
I got the hit. It's just said, move to Calgary. And I was like, what? Because that's my hometown, Calgary, Alberta, the Texas of Canada.
Right.
And packed up my life in 2019 and headed back here. So right here. And, you know, that was huge for me because when I left Calgary, I left in a flurry. I left in like a running away from everything. I left in a drunken haze. I left, you know, a whole line of people that I had hurt. You know, I just left it. I just left and moved away. And so to come back here, to face all that, like 6 years later, was very humbling, you know, to say the least. I really dove into it once I got here. I just started opening up that crater on my heart cracked, and I just started grieving and realizing, you know, just how dysfunctional my childhood was, and really honoring that inner kid part of me that never had anyone to listen to her. And, you know, I drew boundaries. I looked at everything. I took everything off and splat it on the wall, how I look at it. I needed to see it. And so everything went, like my style, like what it means to be beautiful, what it means to, like every single thing. I was like, is this mine or is this programming? You know, I had to look at everything. You know, do I wear makeup because I like it, or do I wear it because I feel inadequate? Am I thin because I feel like I need to be to look good for men? Or, you know, every single thing I had to look at. And oh God, is that devastating, right? To the ego. Ego's like, no. Don't look at that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So it has been almost to the day 2 focused years on, you know, getting rid of those old beliefs, looking at all the programming, purging out those emotions, you know, learning like, you know, energy, and getting all of those sort of processes where I can actually take care of myself and not need things outside of me, you know, like doing energy work, doing clearings with myself, speaking to my angel teams and all that stuff, like but also like the somatic stuff too, like breath work, and, you know, stretching and dancing and pillow punching and just really like moving the stuff out somatically. It's both. Like I really enjoy married quantum and somatic, you know, coming into the body and also knowing that there's an energy aspect to everything, of course, as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can't leave the human out.
Oh, you know me, I love the human. I'm here for the human.
I mean, like the body is the Akashic record, your personal Akashic record, you know, like I remember a couple of nights ago or 2-3 nights ago, looking for something, literally looking for it in my body, like the memory, right? Like, where was it stored? It was kind of cool. But yeah, you can't leave the human out.
No, and I just have so much love for humans and for the folly of being a human, like all of our ego and our traumas and like all the ways we behave and cope. Like, I just have such a tender spot for that aspect of us, that I just do. Like, I have a real soft spot for it. And it's really part of my, I guess, sort of, if you want to call it mission or purpose or whatever. I really feel like I am here to kind of be a bridge from 3D to 4D, like kind of just bridging those aspects of like human, spirit, energy, somatic, all of those things. And I'm very comfortable in that realm. Like I can go high and do the galactic stuff, but I just prefer to be down in the stuff, with my, because I'm able to.
Yeah,
I'm able to.
And that's good, because a lot of people, they get lost, and we've all gotten lost up in the ethers and the woo woo.
Oh yeah.
And it's it's so it's good to hear, I mean, because you can tell that you never let go of your human. There's time.
I had about 3 months where in 2018, after I woke up, where I just was like, oh, you can just manifest things. So I was just, affirmations, it's almost like you pass through it's like graduation. You're like in kindergarten, and then you hit the PhD, which is actually the like deep, like excavation of all your stuff. But I tried so hard for 3 months to just sort of bypass it all. And it's almost like, you float around for a bit, and then you're like, man, this isn't working. I really actually have to go in there.
Yeah, I always think of this one lady that came on, only as an example, not as a personal thing. And I'll never forget, and she was a practitioner. I haven't seen her around in a long time, but she was pretty out there. I mean, like people knew her. Like she was doing the work, at least. And I asked her, sometimes I would ask people, what do you do when you get triggered? And she said, I don't get triggered. And I was like, ooh. I mean, this is like kids in the house, husband, light worker, business. And, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. And of course, it was that what you're talking about. It was a real lesson for me, because it was that whole thing about, well, I'm doing all this. This doesn't exist. This isn't even real. Well, yeah, I get that, but it's still somatic. It's still in there. And it's not just this lifetime. And it's not just mine. It's ancestral, it's collective, but the meat and potatoes is all in here in the bones, right?
Oh yeah. There's so much cellular stuff that gets passed down in our DNA, like all the ends, like intergenerational trauma is a very real thing. It gets passed down in our cells, and being the one to sort of break that within all the families and stuff, and stop that from being passed on is I feel like that's just what people are doing these days. Everyone is kind of realizing like, hey, I don't think, I think we've been doing things a kind of a funky way. I don't know if we should do this. And I use funky in a less than, not like in a fun way, like, but I really feel like most people are kind of realizing like, hey, we can do things way. We don't have to just repeat these patterns that our parents did, or, there's, just in my immediate sort of scope of people around me, like a lot of people aren't having children as much, they're until things, and that's just like a small example in like a very 3D way, or a 3D level. That's, people, you had kids right away, got a house, kept, and now it's sort of like, there's just such a break in that. It's like, wait a minute, we don't have to do things that way, Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, and you're right about that. It's like the system set it up where, like 4 or 5 years go by, once you plunge in and you're like, what the hell happened? You got kids, you got bills, you got a mortgage, you got, you're on the wheel, you're the hamster on the wheel, and you don't even have time to you don't have time for that. There is no it's just like breakneck speed every day.
Yeah, I always felt like since I was very little, I've always been sort of attuned to that something didn't feel right. I've always had that sensitivity of knowing like, why do we have to do these things that way? Like I've always questioned. So it was like, obviously I came here with my antennas up, a bit of like, okay, do we have to do things this way? Why do we have to do things this way? And I always was able to hear and feel the energy of like what the parents weren't saying or what they were, I could always tell if they were if there was some sort of manipulation. It's just, I've always had that sort of intuiting feelings. I just didn't know what it was. So I drowned it with alcohol and everything else I could, right? I was like, I'm so sensitive. I had people tell me that I was too sensitive, that, I don't know how to handle you. You're so sensitive. and really it was a gift the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the society didn't know how to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's
That's
such
exactly
a gift.
right. It was a weakness, perceived weakness, and now it's a gift. Morgan says that a lot. The empath abilities were a weakness, and now they've turned into a superpower, which is true. I believe that. Like these people like you that are really ultra sensitive, I would say. I mean, the ones that I come across on this show, they're ultra sensitive, and that's why they had such an issue, with addiction, with, being mislabeled and stuck in a psychiatric ward and pills shoved down their throat. I mean, they were super sensitive. I love that story. Pamela Johnson was on this weekend, and she talks about how she went into the psych ward, and this was like, I want to say like right after the harmonic convergence. I mean, it was like 89 or 90 or something. And she went in, and that's when she first met her first light workers. There was a whole group of them there saying, hey, I'm getting visitations, and, and I'm from another planet. I mean, think about that. That's insane. I mean, to think that we never even were allowed to consider that as a possibility. And so everybody had to find out on their own. I can't even imagine having those experiences in the 80s or the 90s. I'm 59 years old. I saw what happened in the 60s. I was old enough to experience that, 6, 7, 8 years old. You could watch TV every night and see the Vietnam War, see people dead, I mean, you could see assassinations. I mean, it was, you know what I mean? And it was that little, and here I am, 6, 7, 8 years old, brothers, sisters, we're all kind of plugged. And it was what you said. It's like that little kid listening to their parents, and something's not right.
Yeah.
You're just like going, oh, you're full of shit. Like something's not right, right? So it wasn't just individual, it was collective, like you're describing in your own life.
Yeah, and it's just like other perceived flaws have now turned into gifts. It's almost like they were inverted. So I've also been able my whole life to connect dots as to why a behavior a certain way, or like, I guess, sniff out people's wounds. I've always been able to do that. And before, when I was deep in ego and stuff, I used to just tell people, I'd be like, oh, this is what's wrong with you. Who wants to hear that? It's not a friendly approach. But then again, I was a mean spirited sort of jokey, cheeky sort of little shit. So I didn't care. I was just, I thought I was right because I could see it and feel it. So I was like, I need to tell this person. But now that I've integrated that, I see it's now become a gift. Like when I close my eyes, like Ryan and I have a nightly chat where we sit there together. There's been a few times where I've closed my eyes and we're doing a breathing or some sort of energy clearing together. I can actually see quantumly, like I can feel energy blockages now. Like those, it's not just like I can tell people, like usually by just chatting with people, I can tell maybe like if they have a certain behavior, I'm able to pinpoint probably what the trauma was that caused that. Like that's my sort of gift. But now it's developing more and more that I can actually see it. And it's almost like, I'm not sure if you saw Red Carolyn Miss back in the day, Anatomy of the Spirit. She was a medical for a number of years back in the day, and in like the 90s, and she was able to actually like diagnose people medically. It's mine that, but I can definitely see it now. It's like it's a very intuiting sort of clairsentience, and I can it's kind of amazing how that's kind of come online.
Do you see, are you when you guys do this at night, are you seeing his field, your field, or both?
Usually, like, if we do this breathing and energy clearing, I'm intuitively going through his field and our third energy. Like I can see them both. Like we have a very strong, like when we sit together, I don't know if he knows I'm doing this, but I'm always like aligning our centers, like right down our spine, like all of it. I'm just aligning us and breathing. And we practice this thing called co-regulation where, it's for nervous system healing. We'll just breathe together and kind of find our center. I'm sort of doing this back end, just clearing work. So I can see things like maybe there'll be like a little like entity or something. Like I'll just be removing those things. Wow. And it's quite powerful actually. I can really discern a difference before and after we do it. Like before we do it, we're kind of both like, but then after we're able to kind of come to this center place and speak, I guess, from like a more clear and calm and centered sort of manner. And it's really lovely. Wow.
That is lovely. And it's atypical, right? Like, I mean, Morgan and I, obviously we've had a lot of conversations the first 17 months before she ever came over here, which were all audio. That's how shy, she would not even get on like this until 2 weeks before she came. So it was a year and a half of just audio. But there was, and I've noticed this with these couples. I can speak of the male female incarnated couples. Like I can think of some that were same sex, and I'm sure it was the same, but I can't recall any right off the top of my head. Where the feminine typically is the intuitive and the guide, right? Somebody said, was it Ryan I was talking to, or somebody else? I think it was Ryan, and basically what he said was, I don't know what's going on, but she'll be here and she'll tell us which trail we're taking, right? You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of how it works. But that's also the way it's worked collectively, because if you look at the oral traditions handed down in the Aboriginal and a lot of the indigenous around the world, they have a story that's very similar. We were talking about it last night, be it Pleiadian or Syrian with the Dogons or whatever, the Native Americans, where the star family comes down and they teach the feminine the ways, and then the feminine go out and teach the tribe. And I've never seen in the research I've done any explanation other than the understanding that they had the intuitive, they had the upper chakras connected, where the masculine energy was more connected, in the lower chakras. So female intuition, women's intuition would be an example. But so that's kind of cool, the way that you guys. I mean, think about that. What if I had a corporate career for 15 or 20 years, and think about going into a corporate meeting and saying, everybody, let's have someone like you come in and let's connect and clear. And then, you know what I mean? You can almost feel like what it would feel like, especially in a very patriarchal, scenario, or what you've only viewed or experienced as a patriarchal scenario. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. You know, as far as I know about masculine and feminine energy, one of the best descriptions I ever heard of it was the feminine is sort of like swirly lines, like curlies, and it's like going around and it's very flowy and it's like collecting all sorts of things. And then the masculine energy is like straight lines and it's more direct and it's like it's flowy. And so it's like almost like the woman is like collecting and you know, grabbing all of these seeds, and then the masculine is like planting them. Like, so it's like she's floating around, grabbing all of this wonderful stuff, all these ideas, all these energies, and then to have that be grounded in, that's like a very like masculine is like direct, you know, so it's kind of beautiful to think about that, like with, especially with the chakras, like, you know, feminine and then masculine as being like more of the grounded ones. But yeah, it's really lovely how that exists within each of us. And then we can learn to dance with that with the other, right?
That's a great description. Yeah. Soulogy is a perfect example of that. You know, literally, it is. I mean, it looks like, you know, on the linear timeline, I started this in 2011, but she put up a prayer in 2008. Said, I want to see a place where people can share their skills, abilities, and experiences. It's a true story. And then we had a Monad experience in 2019 where they actually showed us 60 years ago, you guys met here. And that was the final meeting before we came down. And at the time I'm 58 thinking, oh, well, hell, there you go. You know, but the point is, and even now, like that, I love that straight line and the curve, because she does gather everything. Like, let's do the hero's journey. Boom. Now like you said, now I go out and plant the seed, right? So it's a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
I get it. Very cool.
I really resonated with that. And another one is, you know, the feminine is the liquid and the masculine is the container, right? She's more flowy and he holds her and within. My masculine energy holds and contains my femininity so that I can actually start creating things. He's the creative and he is the creator. And having that within is just like really, it's really lovely.
That's right. That's what I say. She's creation and he's the creator. Yeah, he can't, and we're talking energy obviously, but there is some, replication, you know, here. But yeah, it's, you know, she'd often say, you're the driver. Well, yeah, I'm the driver, but I got to have something to drive to. And that's what that is. See, it's like, even in the early days of Soulogy, I knew she was there. Obviously I didn't know her for 4 years later. You know, I find out later, I got the name Soulogy, or was given the name on her birthday. Yeah, 4 years before I'd meet her. But my point is like, you know, it's materialized, it's manifested, it's physical, and you're seeing it all over the place. And I think one of the main characteristics I'm seeing now is what you're talking about with this container thing, which is what I was going to say with that story, is that I'm hearing and seeing more and more feminine energy in the physical incarnation, mostly attached to the gender, but not always. And they feel safe now. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like they didn't trust the container they were in or something. I don't explain, but I see more coming out saying, I'm okay now. Like I'm good. You know, like I'm ready to talk like this, you know, and then from there, I think this is the circle of life has been re-energized, because she is now sharing all of this stuff that she gathers out here and handing it to, you know, the worker bee.
Yeah. It's so cool. And, you know, having that marriage within yourself, and then like what I'm using, of course, my with Ryan as the example, like we're just both, you know, learning how to not have each other complete the other. You know what I mean? Like we're really like learning how to dependent and not, because all I've known in relationship up until this point has been codependency. So I'm really like, this is so new for both of us. We've both never done this, like this level of maturity, I guess you could call it. We're both maturing on the fly. Like we are just, every single time we talk, there is something new we learn, and it is just fully activating. There's been so many tears, so much like fumble. Like as soon as I kind of agreed to do this, like I fought doing it because I was like, no, like I'm on my own. Like I'm kind of fine on my own now. Like I don't need this. And oh man, as soon as I gave in, all of my relationship shit was activated, like jealousy, all mistrusting men, like all of this stuff came up, gangbusters. It was like, pew. I was like, oh no. Like of course my ego was like, ha ha ha. But I thought I had that, and then you don't really see it until you're faced with that mirror of like this person just being this person, just doing their thing, and you see all of your stuff reflected back. Like it was immediate. I was like, oh my God, and so I'm so grateful that we're doing this. And, it's so beautiful, and it's also so painful, but not at all in like a bad way. You know what I mean? It's just like, oof, a new layer of stuff that I didn't really realize was there still, Ooh, so humbling, eating humble pie every single day. Just
Isn't that the truth? It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, there's an echo. That's very strange. I don't know why that's happening.
Oh, I can't hear it.
Somebody said it and I started to hear it. No, but so it's kind of like, I look at it this way. I really get what you're saying, because when you go in blind, which is we were all in codependent relationships. You don't even know what you're dealing with because it's such a blame game, right? There's no internalization. It's all external, and so you're dead in the water from the get-go. And then I meet, like you guys met, and somebody or bodies, has some inclination of this is different. Let's approach this different. It doesn't mean you're not going to have, the purging and the pain, you know what I mean? And doesn't mean that you're going to have, an easy ride with it. But there is a conscious, I guess there's a conscious, I don't know what you would call it, like a devotion, right? Like a connection where, you can either do it the old way or you can try this new way. And I remember because I saw it very early on, and she was coming to the table with that consciousness. I didn't know what divine, I didn't know any of this stuff. Not that you know what I mean? I just didn't know. I just knew that there was someone there since I was a little kid that I would find, right? And so I remember her telling me, like getting me to the point where I came to her and I said, I need to tell you some things. And it was bad. It was like, from my point of view, it was like, in fact, it would freak probably 99% of the crowd out here. Right. And I said, and I couldn't even tell her. I could tell her like 25% of it. That's how bad it was. And again, this is my perspective. So I tell her, and what she says to me? Is that it? Is that it? What are you talking about? And I'm like crying and like it was a huge thing, but yeah, that's a space. And I guess really it's that container. Like you guys are reinforcing and even expanding that container every time you get together at night. Yeah. Dr. Doe says, was it to do with your willy? Well, of course it was. Everything was driven by the willy. I was a man, for Christ's sake,
Yeah, the thing that I have never had, and what most people who had severe enough trauma didn't have, was that it's called the interpersonal bridge, where you actually like have those connections with your parents or another caregiver in your childhood. I never had that bridge. So I never really learned to trust people. I never learned that someone could support me. You know, I didn't have that. So much of this healing is creating a safe space. And that's exactly what Ryan and I have done, is that anything goes. We can share whatever we need to, whatever comes up for us. And there's no judgment. There's just space holding and compassion. And it's just a really beautiful, like, we've both opened up so much. I've shared with him things I haven't told anybody, and him with me. And it's just been, you know, I've never done that before, especially with, you know, a man. I had so much trauma involving men my whole life. And so this is just a huge step, being able to actually trust someone. And I can't even express how beautiful that is, to have that safe container, you know, because once you build a container, it's exactly what you said. It starts to expand outwards. And suddenly, like, your comfort zone gets bigger and bigger. And suddenly you don't even need a comfort zone, and you're just feeling safe in the world. You know, it's such a beautiful thing. And then as you expand, your light from what you're doing shines out to everyone. And, you know, of course, quantum, we all benefit from that, you know?
Yeah, I absolutely do. You know, I absolutely do. And then you have, and then it becomes the norm. Like, it's just the space you're in, right? You know, we went through a period of she left for like 1st of May, and Soulogy Fest was end of May. You know, so that was really kind of a wash that month. She's in quarantine. You know, I mean, it was just like, it didn't really come up for air until June. I got back here, and the human aspects, we struggled. You know, it was a hairy time at times, but there was still this thing, right? There was, no matter what. But anyway, what I was going to say is that so, like, one day she was like, maybe we should, you know, like, consciously merge like we used to. And I thought about it for a second. I thought, we are. It's like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It becomes the norm. It's almost like you overlook it. You can overlook it. Like as much as we, in these past relationships, we were in a codependent field of consciousness. We weren't even aware of it. It just was there was no other way. There was no other option. And so the same happens here. But again, use that word inverse, which I think is a key word right now, because there are a lot of things kind of passing each other as we 0 point. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know, and so it becomes the norm. And sometimes you don't realize the progress you made. I guess that's what I'm saying. And now things are quantum, or really, I think they're beyond quantum. So, like, and I was telling her this the other night, last night. I said, isn't this crazy? You know, Ryan, I meet Ryan, I reunite with Ryan in 2014. And then there's this whole evolution that we've observed, Morgan and I, through Soulogy and through our friends. And Ryan, of course, is a big part of that. And then you guys come in. And I'm looking at the same energy as we were, right, and are. But it's moving at such a fast pace. Like the work that you guys have done, let's just say over the last few weeks, that you're talking about, that would have taken one person, you know, years. And many people can attest to that. And then couples as well. And a lot of couples don't make it past that, you know, that mirror. Because the surrender required is way beyond any surrender we've ever had, any of us. It's a surrender where you're actually just basically laid out on the table and just defenseless and in some way use the word trust. And I realized early on in my relationship with her that, you know, people talk about unconditional love. Well, I thought, well, this is about truth, right? We struggle with the words, right? And I thought, well, truth is a derivative. Trust is a derivative of truth. Now, how can you have unconditional love and not unconditional trust? That was that was how anytime the old programs would come up, not trusting women, I would go there and say, well, I'm all in. And it was an easy ride because, it's an all or nothing proposition. And that's what happened to you when you were describing, you were resisting, and then you jump in and you can't go back. That's the thing. And I love what you guys said on that, when y'all came out, you both said, I don't want to lose a friend. I was like, whoa, 5D, baby. Like, that's 5D right there. Like, I don't want to lose a friend. So before I go jump in the water with him or her, I'm going to clean myself really good.
Yeah.
And whatever dirt and mud I got on me, I'm going to show him or her. Like, this is what I got, but I'm ready to jump in, So that was a really powerful. I really, really admired the fact that y'all did that for a couple of reasons. One, because of the wisdom that came out, like I was just talking about. But the other reason was to have the ovaries to come out. In this climate, this mixed climate with all this massive mixed energy and convolution at times in a very, I would say, a high profile way. So you're in theory susceptible to the external energies of those who might not be aligned with you. Yet you're taking a stand of solidarity that's not saying, here's where we are and we're going to do this. It's more like, hey, we go to the well every night. And so we're going to stay on our game and expand this field just because this is what we're doing. And we're going to step forward boldly. And you're still in that state of surrender. Like you said, he's not completing me. She's not completing me. We're partners. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
So bravo.
Thank you.
Big bravo to you both, man.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
We were trying to figure out we wanted to tell people, but we wanted to do it in we were trying to figure out how, we were like, should I write something? But we just let's just do a funny live.
You did it. That was cool. Well, you were trying to tell people where everybody already knew.
Apparently, I was so shocked to hear how many people were like, "Oh, saw that coming." I was like,
"Oh my God, please!" Oh my God, it was so. I was just like, "Did you see this is happening over here?" It was on the. I saw it a couple times. I saw it on the open mic we did, and I was like, "Morgan, did you see this?"
That's when I realized it too.
Is that right?
Yeah, that because right after, so during that group, it was Robert, Ryan, myself, Daly, and you. When there was a few people in and out, but when it was us four, us five, I just felt something, and that's kind of when it started. I was like, oh no, I think I have feelings.
I didn't know that. That even makes it more sweet. I did not know that. I thought it was already just being hidden, but I thought, because I had seen it once before. I don't know. I think it was on a post, and I was playing around with you guys, get a room, but I didn't know that y'all hadn't jumped in the water yet. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's very cool, actually. Very organic.
So organic, it was so innocent, just friends for about 8 months, and then pew. Not friends anymore. Actually, I want to, well, we're still friends, of course, but something funny has happened, because we did come out in that way, and I still have a mix of people on my Facebook from my past and from Soulogy and all the beautiful community online. I got so many text messages and messages that were demanding almost that I explain myself. People from the past are tell me about him. How did you all meet? Instead of it's just a different way, versus people from Soulogy who were kind of just congrats, that's great. It wasn't I need an explanation. It was I'm just happy for you. It was such a stark difference. And then when I announced I was going to Texas, people are like, oh, that's so fast, from the old world. People are like, oh, it's so fast. What are you doing? Oh my God. Know him? How do you know you guys have a bond? And I'm just like, it's a soul thing, man.
Yeah. That reminds me. So imagine Morgan's coming from Australia, and I'm living out of a suitcase, and I'm doing a lot of videos. I mean, I'm doing a couple a day, right? And so there's that visibility. And so she heard, well, what if he's a serial killer? And it was a really beautiful story too, because the second time she came over, we didn't plan it, but we ended up having that divine union ceremony. It was just a fairy tale. It just happened. We get married in a spiral that's consciously created by one of our friends. I mean, it was just like, what? And so she went back, and someone very dear to her was giving her the business, and she knew it was going to happen. So she walks in the door, and they start to give her the business. She goes, wait 1 second. Just watch. So there was a condensed version of the ceremony. It was 9 minutes that my friend created, and I put some music to. So she goes, just watch this. So her friend watches it, and that was nothing else was ever said, right? So that's like what I saw and the way y'all came out. Like, how do you argue with that? How do you argue with that? The energy, the bliss, the joy, the humor, and the way I always measure things when I've got to discern something and I'm not there yet is how serious are they taking themselves? Like, in other words, are they over the identification that could be, what I mean? That could be the false bravado kind of, you know what I mean? And you two just are like, it's just transparency, I mean, it's not easy stepping up, but it's also very powerful. And
especially
people,
stepping. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, people, like you said, they it's like a virus. It really is. It's soul, like you said. I can't say it like
soul,
it's
man.
soul. It's a soul thing.
It's a soul thing. Yes, Jake said it very well. It's a soul thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wish I could be there and see y'all. That moment. Yeah. Melissa Dehan and Robert Snedden just had that moment like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we were able to talk to him a couple of days after. But, you just look at it now and in some, like with y'all, you could even have the audio off. You just see it. You know what I mean? I remember, Eddie Hensley and
Robin.
Oh my God, Robin. Yeah, and I met them. In fact, I met them when they met. I was in Florida, and Morgan got on a plane and went to see a friend in Kansas City, and I had hooked up with a friend of mine down there from years back, and we were going to do a little I Am Soul gathering. And Eddie's driving down the highway. I said, man, I need a DJ. He goes, I'm a DJ, so I'll come pick you up. So I never met Eddie in person. And then Robin was there. But I remember taking some pictures at that event, which is like a 4-hour event, And then I think there was some pictures over the next day or two. And I remember Morgan calling me up and saying, oh my God, look at those two. And I'm like, I was there. No way. I didn't see nothing. And then, of course, now they're living, they're living the dream. I mean, it's fucking amazing. It's just absolutely so refreshing, regardless of what the storyline is, whether it's a couple or an individual, to see the truth come out. To see what was debilitated in our vision of what life can be, and then again, it's also so human. And you think, oh, I thought it was supposed to be Jesus coming down on a chariot, or something like, you know what I mean? But it's not. It's the human.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
And Ryan and I are just we're very just we are admitting to how new we are at this. Like we're just put down all the armor and we're just saying like, we don't know how to do, like, we've never done it before. So we are trial and erroring it, and we are just being as transparent as possible with how green we are. You know, we're just like, you know, like, and it just feels so refreshing to do it that way, to be like, look, like, that I'm a rookie at this, and I am okay with admitting it. You know, I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm okay with admitting that, like, I don't, you know, I'm trying. This is a brand new thing for both of us. So, and it feels like a do-over, you know, we have such similar pasts with the sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. Like, do-over. It's like a fresh start, you know, like, we feel like this is like our first time, you know, it's
do-over. I like that. It's do-over.
Yeah.
You know, let's see what she said to me early on. It's just energy. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me, and sometimes it's just the energy. And I think that's something to remember, because this is new for all of us. And man, you can walk outside and get hit by an energetic truck and get smashed. And if you've got somebody that you're, you know, on this path with, that can turn out a lot of different ways. You know, projection, the shutting down, externalization of some sort. So, you know, it's worth it. And it's nice to be able to be in a situation in that container that you're talking about and go, I just need to be alone. It's nothing personal. I'm going to check out. We got that download. We spent 2.5-3 weeks, hardly said a word to each other. There was no love lost. There was no love lost. It was just the human aspects dealing with, because if you can't, well, we'll do everything together. We'll handle, well, that's where we came from.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. I need to do my shit. You need to do yours, and then we'll meet in the middle. This is the soul highway. This is 0 point. So yeah, I like that too, that you said, we've never done this before. Well, I hadn't either. You know, hey, in 5 years, 6 years on the 3rd of September, when I met her, 6 years or 6 weeks are the same thing in this new climate. I don't have any tenure over your Ryan or Morgan over, you know what I mean? It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's quantum. So, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's been really cool. Very, very, very cool. He's a wonderful person. So.
I've said this many times, you know, even when we went, you know, we've never had anything but laughter and love. And, but even when there'd be times we just don't connect. I don't talk to anybody anyway, but he's my brother. He's the closest male. He's the closest masculine to me in my heart. Well, and I'm not putting anything on him. I could be number 99 with him. I don't care, but he's the number one man in my life. It's true, you know. So I'm really happy for you, and I hope you get quarantined down there and you can't leave.
Oh, we're gonna self quarantine ourselves away.
I hope it just. I mean, you know, it's so hard to try to put the rhythms of, you know, and control, you know. But I think sometimes you just got to take the fucking plunge, jump off the cliff, go, just go. That's the climate now, and I think the universal energy is supporting that. So, and you guys are living proof. Jen Reynolds and Eric Rankin are another great example. They don't even have a name for each other. They're like, we're not a couple. We're not friends. We're something that's being, you know what I mean? It's beautiful. And I've met him in person. It's the same energy. We had a blast. One of my last nights, you know, but yeah. So cool. And then the fact that you're sharing it is so powerful, because it's not about, you know, getting attention. It's about serving. It really is.
Oh yeah.
It's about serving. Yeah. It really is.
It
and
is.
It's not just here. It's everywhere. I mean, what I mean by that is you're affecting the field way beyond human mirrors that we share the world with.
Yeah, I mean, if we can do this and learn how to do it in a public way and like share our findings, and if it helps someone else, then it's like that's our just intention is to serve through like using our relationship as a vessel for that, and individually and together in that way. And yeah, we have a lot of exciting plans coming up, like things we want to work on together. So it's going to be just a partnership in so many different senses, like creatorship and things like that too. So
that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's that third energy. That third energy starts taking on
big time.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, I can't, the second time she came that summer that we ended up getting, having the ceremony, it was like 3 or 4 days. She'd been, I picked her up and then we went to where I was renting a place in Georgia. And it's like, we would, in the afternoon, we would go lay down in bed and connect per her intuition. So we would, and the next thing you know, Soulogy pops up. Hey, how you doing? I'm your baby. I'm like, what? So it's real. Third energy is real. And,
so real.
So I think that's part of the characteristics of what you see out there is it does have a physical matter kind of manifestation thing. So you see that a lot. You see the partnership has like some type of expression, but that's not, I'm sure that's not for, always, but I see it a lot if you look around. So, wow, you are so beautiful. I'm so happy for my brother. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for everybody that gets to see it. I would love to be there. I hope to see you in Houston when I do go. And, because I still got to go. I still got some 3D shit I got to untangle. That ought to be fun. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah. And I'd love to stay and talk to you, but I got another show in 10 minutes with somebody.
Yeah.
Sheila Seppa, or something like that. I probably destroyed her name. So yeah, but anything you guys I mean, whatever you guys are working on, if there's anything I can do to help to expand awareness of it on this platform, cool. It's an open invitation.
Wonderful. Okay.
I love you. I love you.
Too.
Behave yourself over there. Try to come up for air. Try to come up for air now and then.
Bye.
See y'all later.